In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise and thanks are due to Allah, and peace and blessings be upon His Messenger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Visiting graves is desirable for men. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I had forbidden you to visit graves, but now you may visit them. It will remind you of the hereafter. Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him, reported, the Prophet, peace be upon him, visited his mother's grave and cried, and everyone there cried with him. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I sought my Lord's permission to seek forgiveness for her, but he did not permit me. I then sought permission to visit her grave, and he permitted me to do this. You should visit graves because they will remind you of the reality of death. Since the purpose of visiting graves is admonition and remembrance of death, it is permissible to visit the graves of disbelievers, weeping when passing by the graves of the wrongdoers who were seized and punished by Allah for their evil deeds, and to express one's humility and one's need for forgiveness of Allah is desirable. Some of the permissible and prohibited acts of visiting graves are: permissible. Whoever pays a visit to a grave should face the deceased, greet him by saying, Peace be upon you, O believing men and women, O dwellers of this place, certainly, Allah willing, we will join you. You have preceded us and we are to follow you. We supplicate to Allah to grant us and you security, and then you supplicate for the deceased. It is permissible for women to visit graves as long as their visits are not frequent and they do not yell or show their beauty to the strangers. Now the prohibited. It is prohibited to sit, walk, or lean on a grave. It is prohibited to make salah or sajda facing a grave. It is prohibited to visit graves on the 15th of Shaban. It is prohibited to pour zamzam inside or outside of grave thinking it may benefit the deceased. It is prohibited to place flowers, incense, candle, oil lamp, or anything with a fire on the grave. It is prohibited to dig a grave after burial to remove any parts of the body or to transfer the body to another location without a valid reason. It is prohibited to slaughter animals on the grave. It is prohibited to talk ill about the deceased. It is prohibited to become a caretaker of a grave for financial gain. It is prohibited to wipe hands over the graves and tombs, kissing them and going around them, including the graves of prophets and saints. It is prohibited to supplicate to the dead, swearing by them, asking them for their needs, and seeking their support and help. This will be considered shirk, the greatest sin. The people who do such things are guilty of polytheism. They are indulging in sin and bringing evil to the deceased. These people may be divided into three categories. 1. Those who supplicate to the deceased. Number 2. Those who supplicate through a deceased intercessor. Number 3. Those who supplicate to the deceased. They think that making supplication by a grave is better than in a mosque. Also, it is disliked to visit graves on 2 Eids because these are days of joy and one should not feel sad. However, one may visit graves before or after the Eid. Lastly, I ask my Muslim brothers and sisters to stop any cultural practices not mentioned either in the Quran or the Sunnah, because it will have serious consequences on the Day of Judgment. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.